Hi, Big Tractor Power fans. In this video, I would like to take you back in time to the 1970s and take a look at John Deere harvesting and tillage equipment that was used during this time period. Many farms during this time period were harvesting corn 2 to 6 rows at a time with corn pickers and combines. Following corn harvest, it's important to prepare the seedbed for next year's crops. And in the 1970s, that started with a flail shredder to chop up the corn stalks. Fall tillage for the majority of farms raising corn in the 1970s was completed by a Moldboard plow. This implement uses a plowshare to flip over the soil to bury residue and weed seeds to create a clean seedbed for the next year's crop. When we fast forward 50 years, corn harvest is completed by combines harvesting 8, 12, or 16 rows from 20 to 40 feet per pass. A good yielding corn crop in the 1970s was yielding about 125 to 150 bushels per acre, and a majority of the farms at the time were running 4-row corn heads, and they could harvest about 2,500 bushels of corn per day. A good yielding corn crop today averages 200 to 250 bushels per acre. A modern combine equipped with a 16-row corn head will harvest 5,000 bushels per hour. In the 1970s, tractors ranging from 120 to 150 PTO horsepower were popular for fall tillage. These machines could run a 5 or 6 bottom moldboard plow and cover around 5 acres per hour. Today, fall tillage is often completed by tractors ranging from 500 to 600 plus engine horsepower, operating 30 to 40 foot wide one-pass tillage implements at 10 miles per hour that chop up the corn residue and mix it with the soil. These big machines will complete 30 plus acres an hour. Now that you have a reference point comparing today's machines' capabilities to those of the classics, let's head back to the 1970s so you can take in the sights and sounds of corn harvesting and fall tillage. Corn harvesting methods were quickly changing in the 1970s. For decades, farms had harvested corn by picking just the ears. With the rise of the popularity of the self-propelled combine, which could shell corn in the field during the 1960s, the usefulness of corn pickers quickly declined. John Deere introduced its last corn picker in 1976, which was the Model 300 that can harvest 2 or 3 rows of corn at a time. This machine was manufactured through model year 1987. It is being operated by a 110 PTO horsepower John Deere 4240 tractor that was manufactured from 1978 through 1982. Self-propelled combines were used by the majority of the farms harvesting corn in the 1970s. Of all the self-propelled machines on the market, the John Deere 6600 combine was by far the most popular. The company was manufacturing over 5,000 units per year. The 6600 was built from 1969 through 1978 and was typically sold with a 4-row or a 6-row corn head. This machine was rated at 104 horsepower and offered 112 bushels of grain bin storage capacity with an optional 147 bushel bin with extensions. For model year 1978, the 6600 saw its horsepower increase to 120. Corn residue management after the harvest in the 1970s was important ahead of moldboard plowing. Whether a farm was picking corn by the ear or shelling it with a self-propelled combine, these machines left a lot of bent and long stalks out in the field that were hard to pass through the plowshares. Here we can see a John Deere 220 flail shredder operated by a 150 PTO horsepower John Deere 4630 tractor manufactured from 1973 through 1977. The flail shredder uses whirling knives that shred the long stalks of corn and begin to prepare the field for moldboard plowing. Corn stalks are a very tough material to deal with, and there's a lot of fluffy residue left behind by the flail shredder. Many farms in the 1970s would make a second pass with a disc to further chop up the corn leaves and stalks and pin them to the surface of the field. Here we can see a 140 PTO horsepower John Deere 5020 tractor manufactured from 1965 through 1972, turning and chopping the stalks with a disc. Moldboard plowing was the final pass across the field for a majority of the farms raising corn in the 1970s to prepare the seedbed for next year's crops. Here we can see a 110 PTO horsepower John Deere 4240 tractor, which was manufactured from 1978 through 1982, operating an Allis-Chalmers moldboard plow. This tractor has a tricycle or narrow front end, which was particularly useful for making tight turns while planting corn or cultivating weeds between the rows of corn, and for operating a corn picker. Here we can see a prime example of why the flail shredding and disking passes are necessary. Even with all that residue management, sometimes the material can bunch up between the furrows and clog the plow. It's an easy fix. The plow is lifted up, makes a loop and shakes off the residue, and then returns back to the plowing pass. One tractor covering 5 acres an hour with a moldboard plow can make the acres go by slowly. Many farms will rely on their number 1 and 2 tractors to double the speed. Here we can see the same farm that was using the 4240 with their 120 PTO horsepower John Deere 4520, manufactured from 1969 through 1970, moldboard plowing as well. This tractor is set up with a plowing dual on the outside wheel, which adds stability and traction, while the single tire on the inside of the tractor follows the plow furrow, keeping a straight line across the field. I hope that you've enjoyed spending some time out in the field with these classic John Deere harvesters, tractors, and plows. I would like to hear in the comment section below this video if you have great harvest or tillage memories from the past, or tell me about the fall work that you complete on your farm each year. If you have appreciated this presentation, I hope that you'll consider subscribing to Big Tractor Power YouTube, where there's over 2,000 videos of farm machines in action. If you would like to see additional harvesting and tillage content from the channel, continue to watch for a few more seconds to the end screen for a direct link to 2 more Big Tractor Power YouTube videos. As always, thank you for watching.